forgot to say something. Lightweight, step it aside when we coming. Feel it in your chest, the syllables get pumping. People on the street get panic and start running. Words on loose leaf sheet, complete coming. I jump on my mind, I summon the rhyme, I'm dumping. Healing the blind, I promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways, we march to the drumming. Jump when they tell us that they want to see jumping. Dad, I want to see some fist pumping. Lift something, take back what's yours. Say something that you know they might attack you for. Cause I'm sick of being treated like I had before. Like a stupid standing for what I'm standing for. Like this war's really just a different brand of war. Like it doesn't cater to rich and a fan.
Haha, welcome to Wide Awake Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath. I'm ecstatic because 45 seconds ago I could not connect to the radio station, and that meant the show was that close to not going on tonight. But thanks to the amazingly diligent efforts of Brett in the studio, he pulled it all together, and hopefully you can hear me. All right, so let's get rolling here. It is the 20th day of January, Thursday. And, of course, it's Thursday, so we're going to bring Dex on here in just a minute. And it's a good day. I'm glad that we had some action in the markets this week, but because we've been, really just watching a boring event, I would say, over the last month or so, barely moving up or down, just kind of hanging around between 11 and 12,000. And gold and silver ran up real quick, but then just kind of hung out there. Well, now they're moving again. I did talk to Dex today, and wondering, the reasons for this big pull-off or this big pullback in gold and silver. And I meant to call Gabe and get his interpretation as well. But I think you guys are going to like what Dex has to say. I know I did, especially if you are like me and you're holding some of the precious metals. The first thing I want to do, and the only thing I'm going to do before I bring up Dex, because it's always great having him talking for as long as possible. But I do want to. It is Thursday, so I want to go over the weekly unemployment report that came out. Bonnie is celebrating her, I don't even know how many year anniversary, 20-plus year anniversary. So she is not in the chat room tonight. And she's also not able to update the website, which means I'll be posting stories like this weekly unemployment report, but it will be done quite a bit later tonight. So, bear with me, because the thinking force behind Wide Awake Radio, the actual doer, the one who gets everything done, is celebrating her anniversary. So we'll be a little bit behind schedule. All right, seasonally adjusted, we had 404,000 people file for first-time unemployment claims last week. That was a figure that was a decrease of 37,000. It's just some more of the outstanding economic data that came out, unless you looked at the unadjusted data, which was 550,594 people last week actually showed up or went online to apply for first-time unemployment claims. So the BLS, in their consistent fashion of BS, had decided to shave off a fairly decent-sized American city in the reporting of the first-time unemployment claims. The continued emergency unemployment claims numbers are still at 3.719 million people on level 2 through level 4, a decrease of 53,000 over the week prior. And, again, I'll mention, and I mention this every single Thursday, because the first thing I do Thursday morning when I wake up is I look for this report. And it's become not so much looking at the report to try to determine the health of the economy based on what the BLS says, because, again, I think it's BS. And I don't really put a lot of stock in there. However, the number, the 53,485 people that fell off emergency unemployment rolls, that's not a number they seasonally adjust. That's an actual, factual people who ran out of unemployment benefits. And, every Thursday rolls around and I see a decrease in this number, it's really starting to affect me. I'm really starting to, empathize with these, 50,000 this week, 100+ thousand a couple weeks ago, 200,000 a few weeks before that. And these numbers are adding up into the millions of people who are absolutely, running out of hope. And And when I'm tuned into the mainstream media, or I'm on the internet looking for stories, or fact checking the mainstream media and their stories, the tenor, the tone out there is absolutely turning towards this whole, there is plenty of jobs out there. My cousin did this. If you were like me, you should do that. I mean, this is catching on in a big way, and I think it's, I've been saying for quite a while, the year of austerity is 2011. The year of turn against your neighbor is 2011, and the left and the right talk shows have been flooded with calls of people giving their personal examples, and nothing is more irritating to me. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but nothing is more irritating to me than listening to a right-wing talk show host, or even a left-wing talk show host for that matter, because the lefties can even be they can project more hubris than the righties at times. But when you're sitting there listening to these talk show hosts and they're telling you anecdotal information about a new Tyson chicken house that's just been installed somewhere, south of the Mason-Dixon line, and how it's going to employ an extra 300 people, and then you have, they're trying to fluff up this economy like things are getting better, and the world hasn't come to a halt just because a bunch of criminals on Wall Street have fleeced this country and thrown it into a non-ending debt spiral. There's going to be commerce. There's going to be peaks and valleys in the unemployment report, and there'll be some jobs created, and there'll be jobs lost. The basic fundamentals of the economy are still, shot in the keister. They don't exist. I mean, we just don't have anything to come back to. We don't have an industry that we're going to fire back up. But yet, you'll listen to these talk shows, left and right, and you'll get people calling in with their anecdotal, or either it's some ridiculous story happening in some backwater county in, wherever, USA, or they get on there and brag about, well, people should be more like my grandpappy told me to be and never buy anything I couldn't afford and pay for everything in cash. And if everybody was more like me, then everything would be great in this country. That's the problem with this country today. I hear it daily at this point. That's the problem with this country today. People went out and bought more than they could afford. They should have known better. It's their fault. We're in the position we're in. And it's sold. It's just propaganda that is sold and repeated over and over and over and over again until it catches on. And I just want to remind everybody, and I'm sure, the people listening to me right now understand this, that isn't, the guy who went out and bought more house than he can afford, shame on him. The guy who went out and, refinanced his house and bought a $5,000 flat screen TV, okay, shame on him. He bought more than he can afford. But ladies and gentlemen, that has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the financial situation this world is in. And every once in a while, matter of fact, I'm probably going to make a video on this topic. Every once in a while, I like to get out and remind folks that, you can live exactly like your great-grandpappy did through the Great Depression, and you can store your food and never spend a penny you don't have, and a penny saved is a penny. That's all well and good. Your wealth is still going to get ripped off from you, and your future and your liberty and your sovereignty and, your future wealth is going to get ripped off from you, not because of the guy next door who bought more than he can afford. Not because people went out and took vacations, they cashed in equity on their house and took vacations. That's not where we're at today. That is absolutely it's such a small part of even the deficit that we're in right now that it's insulting to me when I hear this. I try to call these shows, and I've called some of them. I've been on some of these national talk shows as a guest, not as a guest, as a caller rather. And I get cut off almost immediately when I bring up stuff like, hey, listen, John Gibson, listen. You want to sit here and blame the guy who bought more than he could afford, yet you never touch on the fact that in 2008 there was $9 trillion worth of mortgage debt in this country, good, bad, and otherwise. Not subprime, prime, subprime, all of it. All mortgages in the country. It was tantamount of $9 trillion. And you sit here and talk about a guy who bought a $300,000 house and he only made $25,000 a year, and you want to blame him for the situation we're in. You never come out here and blame the banks. You never come out here and blame the Wall Street firms. Why? Because you're sitting in a studio in New York City, and they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month advertising on your propaganda network. This is the modus operandi of the mainstream media. This is why the alternative media is catching on, like Christopher Green and I talked about last night. This is why alternative media is, blowing up, really. The number of people who are tuning into programs like this or watching channels like mine and Dex's on YouTube, this number is growing exponentially. And that's why we're going to continue to see assault on alternative media. But once in a while, I'd just like to come out and remind everybody, when you're inundated, because even if you listen to this show, it doesn't matter, you're still going to be inundated with the big lie. Turn to the left, turn to the right, point your finger, blame that person because it's their fault. Instead of turning around, anywhere in this country, if you turn to the east and you point at a little section there on the eastern seaboard, that can be blamed for all of the problems of this country right now. Yes, there's people who take advantage of the system. Yes, there's lazy people out there who don't want to work. Yes, there's flaws everybody has flaws. But the fact of the matter is, a very, very small majority of this country control the vast majority of the wealth of this country. And they made gambles, and they lost with these gambles. And instead of being Las Vegas rules where you lose, you walk away sad with your head hung low, they walked away fat, rich, and happy, shoving money in their pockets, hand over fist, and it's our money that they've taken. They're the ones who've sunk this country, and not just this country, but our good neighbors to the north in Canada, in Mexico, in South America, any freedom-loving nation around this world. We can point the blame due east for our problems. So next time you're tempted to blame the guy who's driving a car he can't afford, he will wash out on his own. That stuff always, people like that always wash out on their own. They drive a flashy car. A few months later, they got a repo guy showing up with a reality TV crew right behind him. That guy will take care of himself. He's not the one sinking this country. Turn east, point your finger where it deserves, because those are the people who sunk this country. All right, that's enough rambling on. Holy cow, Dex, I'm really sorry. I burned up 20 minutes with that little soliloquy there. So are you with me, Dex?
I am still here, sir.
Oh, I appreciate you hanging on that long, man.
That rant was all that. My wife said to tell you that. That rant was all of that.
Well, I question her taste at times because she always says she likes me and she married you. So, but I will accept that compliment. Thank you very much.
You got me. Hey, man, I don't even know where to start. I mean, you killed it. It's hard. It's tough coming behind all of that.
Well, hey, you know what? If anybody can do it, you can, Dex. So let's go into the markets this week. They've been lackluster the last 2 days, and it's been pretty flat, pretty even. We were down a little bit today and down a little bit yesterday, but there seems to be a lot of selling pressure. And you said something interesting to me on the phone today when I talked to you, which is hold on because it's about to get real. So elaborate.
Well, basically, the bottom line is this, in a nutshell. Doesn't matter what happens with the price action every day. The market is still going to rally. I don't care if silver falls down to $1 in the overnight tonight. It's still going to rally. Stocks are still going to rally. Commodities are still going to rally. Everything is still going to the moon. Everything from soybeans to wheat to copper to wood. You name it, it's going to go through the roof. It's just the way it is. And you can thank your man Ben Bernanke for keeping the printing presses hot. And the more they print, and the more money they throw at the market, the higher the prices are going to go. They will not allow the equity market to fail, period. Dow 15,000 by the end of this year.
So what's going to happen? What are we looking at? This big sell-off today in gold and silver. Why? Why is this happening? Is it the dollar rally today?
No, the dollar is plummeting, as a matter of fact. The reason why it happened is because that's the way the price action goes. Prices like to always revert back to the mean. And in this situation, here is the situation. We got ourselves deep inside of the Kumo cloud today, all right? Usually when that happens,
that is
a congestion phase or consolidated period where you'll see prices move sideways. Now, it doesn't have to always be the case. There is a strong probability that we could just rally from this point. We don't have to stay in the cloud. However, history always teaches us that once you get into the Kumo cloud here with the price action, there's a hardcore possibility that we will break below the cloud and head toward trendline support, and that price is $23.
Oof, that's hurting. A lot of people are like hearing that and going, "Oh, they don't want to see that again." But explain what the Kumo cloud is, will you?
Kumo cloud is an Ichimoku charting application that basically helps you to line up your price bars so that you can get a big picture look at the market and where it's going. So when you look at what's happening right now, you have a couple of things happening, and we have to address it. One thing that we teach at Black Ops Trading, first of all, let me say a shout-out to all my Black Ops traders out there that are listening in tonight, and some of them are here in the chat room. What did we say about markets? We say, do not fall in love with any particular direction in the market, whether that be bullish or whether that be bearish, okay? We do not fall in love with it, okay? We're not gold and silver bugs. We are traders. We look for price action. We want to know where we're going to make our next buck. Is it buying or is it selling? So that's what we look at. Well, we have been waiting for this moment because the system that we use told us ahead of time, a couple of weeks ago, that this was going to be the case. It told us that prices were going to retreat into the cloud, and when that happens, you can expect a range between the low 26 level up to around 27.90, somewhere in there. So you're looking at about a buck or two as far as price fluctuation inside this Kumo cloud. So we knew this was coming. We had a lot of negative bot checks that were coming back. A lot of people were concerned in the trading room about what does this really mean? Is the market really going to correct and pull back? And one thing that we teach also in Black Ops Trading is that the bot checks that we get back, this is a very complicated group of algorithms that goes out like spiders into the internet and seeks out price abnormalities within the market. So it picks these up. Even if we had a big rally day, you can still get a negative bot check that will come back and say there's some secret selling going on or movement or positioning, some type of manipulation within the bid-ask spreads and things like that. So it's very complex in nature, but what it's designed to do is to pick up any type of onslaught of selling pressure that is on the way or on the horizon. And it usually leads the market anywhere from 3 to 5 days out on average, but at times it is within 24 hours. So sometimes when you get these signals, you get these corrections 24 hours later. And I've done a numerous amount of videos on YouTube demonstrating how the bot check works. And, of course, the most famous thing that the bot check put out, and a lot of people saw this video, that was on the week of May the 6th of 2010. We had that big crash. We had a negative bot check that came back that week that warned that was coming. We also had another algorithm that came up, the high volatility alert, and that was on the Goldman Sachs video. And we all know what happened after that. So anyway, basically what's happening now is we need to really address the precious metals market. And on the short term, you're not going to like what I'm going to say, but in the long term, you're going to love what I say. In the short term, we have a problem on the long side. And that problem is that we have a cross in our support and resistance lines. What that means is when your top level support or first support level crosses below your second support level, that cross indicates an onslaught of selling pressure that pushes prices back deep below the Kumo cloud. And when that happens, you usually have a lot of people wanting to rush to get out of the market and take profit because they're long, okay? It also will attract some short sellers to come into the market also. So we are in a big-time jeopardy now of heading toward that $23 mark, which is trend line support. It is a possibility. Right now, the next price target that's in play, the immediate price target, is $26.50. That is
okay. What happens if? Okay, I want to just get a real quick answer to this before we go into break. The action today and this crossing or this closing below the Kumo cloud indicates to you that we're going to see $26 next, and then it could go as low as 23 something.
Yes, it all depends on how many people want to get long silver right away. You have a large amount of money on the sidelines that's waiting to buy cheap silver. I warn people, and I warn in the trading room every day. Do not fall in love with this short side. You can go ahead and sell short and make a little profit as the market corrects here, but don't get caught up in the rampage. Because
okay, all right, we're gonna Dex. Right. The first question I'm gonna ask it right now so I don't forget. I want to talk about, I'm excited we're talking markets because that's what I think you and I do best on these Thursday shows. I want to know, should I take some profit if I'm sitting on gold and silver and hold on and just wait till we see a bottom and then jump back in to enjoy the ride up? Or is that dangerous? Is that a dangerous game to play? Don't answer now. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with pulsescan72 Dex, the Vulcan, on Wide Awake Radio. We'll be right back.
What's up? It is me, TheVulcan. I just wanted to stop by and encourage you to buy more silver and gold and the price gets cheaper. I had a long talk with my elitist friend and he has agreed to allow the price of silver to fall further so that we peasants can afford to buy more so we can dump the US dollar for real money. Do you feel me? Can you dig it? Good. Now about this whole economic collapse thing. The market is not going to crash. Stop listening to all those idiots trying to get you to part with your hard-earned cash. These guys don't know what they are talking about. The market is not going anywhere but up. What do you think the plunge protection team exists for? To stop the markets from crashing. Whenever the equities decline in price, they just step in and print more money to buy more stocks. Yes, the U.S. government is the world's largest shareholder. Just ask Government Motors.
All right. Welcome back to Wide Awake Radio. This is Charlie McGrath, the Vulcan. Dex from pulsescan72 is the Thursday night guest. I didn't mention Top Show. If you're listening and you're not in the chat room, there's 80-plus people in there right now. You can go over there to wideawakenews.com, click on Wide Awake Radio, and join in the chat. What you just heard there was about a minute of Dex's latest video. And, Dex, you're just getting sick, man. This guy kills me. I love this guy. The name of this video is The Silver Pimp Hand is Still Strong. and I'm going to dump it into the chat room here in a minute. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I don't know what program you have to make these, but they crack me up. You have your silver guru in the alley, and he's all decked out. It cracks me up every time you put one of these out. All right, the question I asked you before the break was, if somebody's sitting on silver or gold, for that matter, right now, what is gold trading at? $13.50. I mean, it's $100 off its high. Is it a dangerous thing for me to take, even 100 ounces and turn it into cash and then wait for this bottoming, this $23, and then jump back in?
Okay. That is a pretty good question, Charlie, and I'm going to tell you what we say in the Black Ops trading room. This is what we say. You will never, ever, ever go broke taking profits.
All right. Well, that's I guess my fear there would be, you sell it. I know I can call Gabe and sell silver at spot, and then when I buy it, I'm gonna pay a premium. But if we're sitting at 28 tonight, I can sell it tomorrow, lock it in at 28, whatever it is right now. It's up in after hours trading here. Get up and sell at 28. Is 23? How confident are you that we're going to retrace all the way back down there?
No one has ever gone broke taking profit.
Okay, all right. That's as much commitment as you're going to give me, isn't it?
No one has ever gone broke taking profit.
Okay,
this message
all right.
will now self-destruct. No, seriously. I mean, here's the situation, man. If you've been long silver, you're holding silver, and you got in at a good price, taking some money off the table is always a good thing, especially during a correction. And the reason being is that we don't know how hard and fast or long it's going to last, the correction, okay? We just know that it is correcting. Now, could it reverse and be up $5 tomorrow morning? Of course, it could. But what I'm saying to you is, the situation is this. Are we off the highs? Yes. Have we put in a short-term top? Yes. Did we have technical damage done on the chart these last couple of days? Yes. Unless you're holding some options, stock options or, something like that, then if you're holding the physical, it's a little bit different because of the premiums they hit you with. So your buying and selling may be a little bit different. But if you need the cash, or if you like to go ahead and take profit, if you can buy some cheaper and buy a lot more, now would not be a bad time to do that. As a matter of fact, when it hit 31, would have been even better time to do that. So it's always good to take profits along the way so that you can do the things that you need to do. As far as my confidence level, as far as how hard and fast is this thing gonna last, and where are we? Well, I put it to you like this: when you look at the chart, the silver chart, and right now silver spot, by the way, actually the futures is at 27.54 as we're doing this broadcast, and gold is at 1346.60. So what's happening is we're already starting to retrace a little bit off those lows, which is to be expected based on the strength of this correction. But I would also say that it looks like we may have overshot a little bit, and there's a strong possibility we could just break out of this cloud sometime in the middle of next week. But when you see these type of chart patterns, it's not so easy to get out of it. It just depends on what the attraction is and the motive for the buyers are. In other words, do you have bulls on the sidelines saying, this is my price true, I want to get in now? Or are they looking at the chart also with caution, saying, you know what, this thing looks like it's gaining some momentum to the downside. Let me wait. I want to see it. I want to buy it cheaper. The answer is the latter. You have a lot of people that are waiting to buy it cheaper. And you better believe if it does hit this 23 level, if it hits that trend line, and if it goes below it, which prices like to overshoot their target, if that happens, you better believe the President of the United States and Ben Bernanke himself will sell everything that they own so they can buy up all the gold and silver they can and corner the market. You better believe it. That price ain't staying low. It's going to be like those 30-year fixed rates a few years back. Remember when the rate dipped intraday to like 4%, and everyone was like, "Oh wow!" And it only stayed there for like an hour, and then the rates went back up again. Well, that's how silver's going to do. It may overshoot and dip really low, but you better believe that the moment that it does that, there are people all over the world with computer software waiting to give them beeps and alerts and stuff like that, and rings and all types of ringtones to tell them, get you behind to the computer right now and buy silver, or call your broker, or go over to the store and buy a spot right now.
Well,
so,
Dex, it is as I hear the money train passing your house, it is.
Actually, that was a FEMA train. I'm sorry.
Well, they missed you. Good job. You must have the lights out. It is perplexing, especially to laypersons like myself, that we're seeing a pullback like this when we know that money's being printed hand over fist to prop up equities. What is driving it? Is it the poor performance of Goldman Sachs that came out yesterday? Is it the recent talk of potentially needing to bail out more banks once again? I mean, or is it the bulls out there having this positive outlook of the economy, which is always going to be a rush into dollars and out of precious metals? I mean, what is causing this sell-off? Is it just too hot? I mean, I'm in the business where I buy commodities. I buy commodities for the company that employs me during the day, and I'm seeing things that I've never seen before. In almost 20 years of doing this, we're seeing a increase in commodities that isn't backed by anything. It isn't backed by any real demand. So it's very perplexing times. It's obvious to me, and I'm sure to you, and to anybody else who trades in commodities or buys or sells commodities, that things are not even remotely close to normal. Which in the business world, it's very, very difficult to plan, and you're very tentative to spend money when you don't understand the conditions in the marketplace.
I'm going to have to put on my broker hat for a minute, all right? Let me get all this out because I'm losing my train of thought. My mind is going so fast real quick, okay? All right. Okay. I'm putting on my broker hat. Hey, who cares why something happened? I don't care what caused the price of silver to go down. I don't care what caused the price of gold to go down. It's irrelevant. You can come up with a million different reasons why the price went down today. You can say an elephant sat on one of the traders in the pit. No one knows where the elephant came from, but he just squashed all the traders in the pit, and that's why the price went down today. Who knows why the price went down? Who cares why the price went down? Doesn't mean a thing. What matters is the facts. The facts are the price went down. And if you really want to get technical about it, do you know why the price really went down today? I'll tell you. Because there were more sellers than buyers. It's that simple. That is the technical answer.
That is very simple.
But why does the market rally so hard? Because there were more people buying than selling. Why did the market fall so hard? Because there were more people selling than buying. That is the technical reason and answer on why you see price action up or down in a given day. Okay? So, it means that no one wanted to buy silver today, but people wanted to sell it. So that's why the prices collapsed as hard as they did. Now, from a technical standpoint, we can look at the charts and say we knew where prices were headed. And on top of that, we can say also that we know that prices are going to bounce from here. In the past, year and a half? How long have you seen prices suppressed in silver from a chart trading technical standpoint, not from a philosophical standpoint? Everyone knows that the price of silver is being artificially manipulated and kept low. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, how long have you seen prices dip or correct and stay down?
Not very long. Not very long.
Exactly. They get bid right back up again. So that's what's going to happen. So regardless, even on the May 6 flash crash, prices recovered instantaneously.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen. Even 9/11, the week after the markets reopened. Yeah, the market sold off, but then it corrected immediately, and it did it intraday. So can that happen? Will that happen? Yes. I think the market is setting up for a long-term trading situation where you're going to see prices get so volatile that it's going to frighten a lot of people out of the market altogether, because they're not going to be able to stomach it. They're not going to be able to handle the pressure that's going to come with this. How many people you know can stomach going and buying? Let's say today is that day. This is that Thursday that I'm on the show, and silver has now dropped to $23.
Okay.
right? Everybody and their mama's buying this silver and laughing all the way to the bank, right? How many people you know can stomach if the next day silver plummets to $5 after they just spent $23?
Not many. People will be freaking out.
Panicking. They're going to be like, sell my silver before I lose all of my money. But the smart people, what are they going to do? They're just going to go buy more silver. Oh, I was only able to get this much at 23, but now I can buy so much more at 5. Because they understand that the price of silver is never going to be zero. Never going to be zero. It never has been zero. It never will be zero. We can't say that about fiat currency. But we know that the price of gold and silver over the last thousands of years have held their value. Through war, through famines, through the rock and roll eras, of prosperity, it's always held its value. It's never been zero. It will not be zero. So who knows? Who cares? Who knows why the prices do what they do? They just do it. So if you need money, sell some, get yourself some money, and then be ready to go and buy more as the prices continue to correct. Now, if we're wrong, and let's say tomorrow morning we get up, silver's up $1 or $2, then great. Now you have another signal that's being generated to you. The market's telling you now that the bottom, the real bottom has been put in, the real floor. And the floor is 26. And guess what happens from that point? $10 move.
I want to ask you, Dex. I want to ask you what would it take now to set a $26 floor? This is something that interests me. That I realize the 23 and change is the next support. What would it take? Do we have to close above the intraday high for today, tomorrow, in order to establish some kind of support at the 27, 28, whatever?
That's a very good question. And based on today's price action, it is no longer that simple. Again, you have technical damage done to the chart. You have a couple of things that have happened, and it's going to take time to correct it. Not price action, but actual time to correct it. You have a cross of the two support lines. That's a big deal. Those lines need to cross back up again. So if it doesn't happen, prices will continue to decline or oscillate. So the way we call the market today is like this. We expect sideways to lower prices within the next 3 to 5, based on where we are here. Hold on. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We expect sideways to lower prices within the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. So
it took one.
We get that action. We get that
2
sideways
weeks to make this pattern that we just made. So it's going to take us at least 2 weeks to fix it.
Okay, make it simple for me, because I have no less than 100 emails today asking me about the action on precious metals, and I'm going to give the advice that our head technical analysis editor in chief on Wide Awake Radio is giving me tonight. You anticipate sideways to down action for the next few weeks, kind of mirroring the sideways to up action we've had for the last month. Mirroring
that is
opposite.
Correct. Okay. Now, I have to take the broker hat off now and put in the and put on a different hat, because I need to break it down, because I know we have a lot of people like yourself that are into the physicals. I'm not an expert on physicals. Never claimed to be. I'm a trader. I understand markets, and I understand price action. And I know how they work. So you can guide me in my speech on the physical part, okay?
Okay, go.
What I am saying is this. As far as how the market's going to work, I know that a lot of people are making comments in the room too about if it gets to a certain point, they're not going to have enough. They won't have enough. They already don't have enough physical silver, is what I'm being told. I'm being told that there are outages all over the place. And there's certain coins, bullion, whatever you guys call it, that are not available, right? Or it's taking a long time to get them, right? Okay.
That's what I understand. Well, I'm hearing mixed reports, but go ahead. Yeah, they're on some.
Right.
On like
artificial
issues. Okay,
demand, artificial scarcity is what they have built into the mechanism. Let me explain what that means. Okay. The Commodity Futures Exchange, okay, what they have done is they have introduced new futures contracts for gold and silver, okay? They have made it so that these contracts, like the mini gold, mini silver, they're non-deliverable contracts. So what that means is you can trade them all day and night, but you will never be able to take assignment or delivery, okay? You can still take delivery on the big contract, gold and silver, but not on the mini gold and silver, all right? That's done on purpose so that the little guy cannot participate in the tangible asset. That's another reason why they raised the margins on the big contracts so that the little guy can't take possession of the physical. They're already factoring in the shortage of the commodity itself. This has already been in the works for some time. The reason why you will never have another cornering of the silver market like you did with the Hunt brothers is because the government has already cornered the market. The government has cornered pretty much every commodities market, all right? When I say commodities, I'm talking about, how do I say this? Earth elements, whether it be oil, gold, silver, hashish, opium, water, all those things. The government
sometimes you test
already,
me. I think sometimes you're testing me and dropping things in there like that to see if I'm paying attention. And I heard you.
No, it's the truth. The government has already cornered those markets. All right, so you can't corner it. I can't corner it. It doesn't matter how much money you or I have. We cannot ever corner that market. And that is how it's done. As a matter of fact, I was in the barbershop today getting my hair cut, me and my son, and we were. They had the TV on and the news channel, local news was on, and they had a round table thing with ex-President George Bush, Senior, the first Bush. He was in a round table discussion. Him and Colin Powell and a bunch of other distinguished guests. And do you know what they actually said on live broadcast? Are you ready for this? They said, so do you think if you just would have came out and said, look, we need that oil, and that's why we're going to go over there because, we use a lot of oil, and we need to control the oil, so that's why we're going to go to war, and that's why we're going to do the first, the first Middle East war. That's why we're going to do this. Do you think you would have had a different outcome? Yes. They said it just like that. And he said, yes, I agree. That's why I didn't do that. That's why we had to lie. So the first Gulf War was admitted by the president himself to be no other reason to go over there but to control a commodity, to corner a commodity, in this case, oil. Now, the next thing that's being controlled is going to be water. They're going to control that. They also want to control the gold and the silver, but they're not so much really worried about that per se. They just want to keep tab on it for taxable purposes, so they can control. I'll leave that for another show. But the bottom line is this. We have a situation right now where a lot of us are not going to be able to get the physical regardless of where the price goes. And that's the sad reality.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I do get, I keep in contact with Gabe because, he sponsors the show and he's got physical there. And I talked to a couple of the local silver guys and they have it. And I know in some instances, like mint-issued Silver Eagles, things like that, are harder to come by. But you also have, obviously, there's more people in 2011 in this country, probably by a factor of 10, that are holding physical silver and gold than there were, let's say in 2007. So, I think there's a lot of nervous Nellies out there, Dex, that, they'll see the markets kind of move up or down, and they'll, get out or they'll jump in. And they're not really doing their homework. And like you pointed out nicely a few minutes ago, when's the last time, now that I say this is going to, jinx everything. When's the last time you saw a silver or gold pullback that was sustained? That's probably a non-trading term. But when's the last time you saw one pull back, even $1? We never used to see moves in silver like that, but we have recently where it's pulled back $1 or more, or pulled back multiple days in a row. It never lasts. It's a few days, and then, or maybe a week, and then it shoots right back up. I've been buying since it's been in the $9 range, and that has been, at about the $16 level. It hung out there for what seemed like eternity, but it never has gone back to any level that any retracement level. It's never stayed there for very long before it jumped up to the next. So I tend to believe you, and I tend to not get nervous by seeing a $1 move or even a $20 move in gold.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we have to take the ups with the downs and vice versa. Nothing just goes straight up in a straight line. There's always going to be corrections and things like that along the way. But the outcome is going to be this. People are going to look back on this day and be like, man, I should have got in there. I just want to encourage everybody listening tonight, Charlie, that even if you can't take physical delivery, you've been looking around and you just can't get down because of the shortage. Look, the dollar's still worth something, so you might as well trade silver spot and trade the silver piece.
Quickly, Dex, we got the music going. Tell me how to get a hold of you.
pulsescan72@gmail.com. Also at pulsescan.blogspot.com, and my YouTube channel is pulsescan72, The Vulcan Report.
You are the man. Thank you, Dex. I greatly appreciate your Thursday visits and your insight. Everybody stay tuned. Jeff Rintz is coming up next. I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. No advertising video, and we still had over 80 people in for most of the show. Blue Cat, we're going to talk prep tomorrow night. Blue Cat's going to be our guest from the chat room. Everybody knows her, so I'm excited for that show as well. Stay tuned. Jeff Rintz is coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow night, same time.
Meanwhile, the leader just talks away, stuttering and mumbling for nightly news to play. The rest of the world watching at the end of the day, both scared and angry, like, what did he say?